And now, it's time for your real estate video update with your local Toledo realtor, Jon Modene.
Hi there, Jon Modene at RE/MAX Masters. Thanks for taking your time and making a time investment to watch my video entry on my website. Here you go, insider tips for waterfront property. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience selling waterfront property in the flat terrain of Northwest Ohio. We don't have any white water. We don't have any moving water. We have turgid, turbid water, and it's not necessarily the greatest thing. We don't have any mountains. We don't have any mountain lots or hillside lots. But what we do have is the Maumee River, the Ottawa River, Lake Erie, and hundreds, if not thousands, of little self-built ponds all throughout Northwest Ohio. So if you're a rural buyer, you can buy a home with no water and add a water feature. And if you're interested in being on the water, we've got a great river to go on. So here are my insider tips, 10 or 11 insider tips for buying property on the water in Northwest Ohio. Number one, find a realtor who knows what they're doing. Let me tell you, in this market, about half the realtors aren't working, half of the rest aren't selling any houses, and half of those that are left know what they're doing as far as selling houses, but they've never sold property on the water. So if you're going to buy something on the water, find a true waterfront realtor, a specialist who knows what they're doing. I mean, you might buy something on the water, and the agent says, oh yeah, you can boat on the river. Well, their idea of a boat might be one thing. Your idea of a boat might be the canoe you're only allowed to put in there because of the river rock and the fact that it's just too shallow to do anything else. Consider the property more than the structure. Consider the property more than the structure. You will fall in love with the house, but you can change the house. You've got to love the property, the views, the noise. Is it private? How close are the neighbors? What kind of sight lines? Where's the sunriser set? So consider the property more than the structure. You can change the property, but not the location. Number three, choose a property that fits your lifestyle. A property that you buy so you can go fishing on Lake Erie that requires you to burn a tank of gas and 2 hours each way there is not necessarily going to be conducive to fishing a lot on Lake Erie. So choose the property based on the lifestyle. Might have to alter what you're doing there. Number four, look into loans early. A lot of these properties are going to be jumbo loan category houses. It takes more time. Your credit's got to be better. Get the right lender, and I've got one in mind for you. So call me about Ron Erdman at Merit Home Loans, and I'll fix you up with him. Number five, make sure the structure can withstand the weather. A lot of these waterfront homes are exposed to the elements. That's on purpose. The front becomes the back becomes the front. A lot of times it's facing the west where we get the wind off the prairie and the rain and the snow and the sleet, and you've got to really look at, can it stand that? How is it handling that? Number six, the foundation. Can I just say this about the foundation? The foundation, in my opinion, is the most important thing on any waterfront home in and around Northwest Ohio. We don't have granite. Our bedrock is really, really deep. If you build on the water, a lot of these properties are built on fill. And you're going to lose. You are going to lose. Your house is going to lose. I can show you houses built on water where the owners have walked away from them. The past owner walked away and said, I've lost the battle because of foundation issues. With our soil, the high clay content of river soils, erosion, and the depth of bedrock, once a house that's not properly anchored starts to move, it's going to keep moving. You can do a couple things to it. You can ignore it, hide it, or deny it, but that's not the kind of house you want to live in. Number seven, hiring an inspector who doesn't really know waterfront property. Very important. You know, I always recommend, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I recommend getting any real property you buy inspected. But there are some inspectors that have never inspected a house on the Maumee, never inspected a house on a lake or a pond or over at the quarry. You've got to find one that knows what they're doing and can explain what they do different for a waterfront, lakefront, pondfront property. Number eight, find out what you can do with the property. If you don't want to make any changes with the waterfront property, that's great. But if you want to take the dock out, put a different dock in, bigger dock, floating dock, you've got to figure out what you can and can't do. Start this process early because there might be some neighborhood restrictions, government rules. Hopefully not the Corps of Engineering, but there could be lots of issues involved with doing that. Number nine, here's the most important, other than the foundation, important tip. Talk to the neighbors. Talk to the neighbors on either side, 2, 3, 4 houses down, or on similar situated properties. Find out what they say, what they like, what they know, what they've heard about that house. That'll be your number one way of finding out about that property. And if the home you're targeting is in good shape and there are any waterfront property problems with it. Country ponds, let's just talk about ponds for a second. Waterfront buyers who say, I don't want to live on the river, I want my own little pond. And you can start with nothing and have a 3/4 acre to an acre pond. And well, there are bulldozers that do that. It can happen, but they can be a little more work than you consider. Let me tell you, I own a pond. I own a lot with a pond. It takes some work, and if you don't do it, it's going to get away from you. So there's some things you've got to ask and figure out. How deep's the water? What's the water inflow and outflow? Do I have to fill it ever? What's the bottom? Is it clay? Is it packed? Is it prepared? What's the embankment like? How do you handle weed control? How do you handle algae control? So a lot of important pond issues to think about. And finally, get to know your responsibilities as a waterfront homeowner. If you're part of a homeowners association, that might cover a lot of sins. But if you're not, you're going to have some extra responsibilities. You got to know what those are: upkeep, maintenance, insurance, liability, and all those things we need to do on the front end of an offer or during the inspection period, as long as we've done some of the spade work before we get there. Anyway, those are my top 11 hints for buying property on the water in Northwest Ohio. If you need to buy something on the water in Northwest Ohio, call me. I've got some great waterfront property coming on the market, and I'd be happy to help you. Thanks again for watching this video. It's Jon Modene at RE/MAX Masters. Have a great day.